Hello. In this video, we're going to handle laws of logarithms, not logarithms, sorry, but quadratic equations. So in this video, we're going to handle quadratic equations. The first thing I'm going to teach is the ways and means of solving quadratic equations, and of course, later on, focus on trying to solve similar concepts that KCC normally tries to tackle. So, and as I said, KCC is a high school diploma in Kenya. So for those who are watching outside Kenya, you should understand that is the high school diploma here. So I'll start by stating the ways. So normally there are four ways of solving a quadratic equation. Those are the ones that I know of, but we'll only handle three. The fourth one normally is the use of graphs. But in this case, actually, you notice I'm using a graph book, so that I'll just illustrate how this happens, but I won't go into details with it. So this time, the first, let me just write it's quadratic equations. Quadratic equations. This is a very interesting topic, and it's one of the topics that actually applies in other questions. You may find in trigonometry there's an introduction of quadratic equations. You may find in simultaneous equations, you will find still quadratic equations. So if you understand quadratic equations, you've solved almost a quarter of your problems in mathematics, because normally most of the concepts will always apply quadratic equations. In logarithms, you'll still find the same concept. So we start off by stating the first way. So the first way of solving quadratic equations, let me just use a different way. So the first way is called the complete square method. I'll just state them first. The second way is called the quadratic formula method. The third method is called the factorization method. Then the last one is called the graphical method. So the most common one, the best one I'd advise, is this one and this one. These ones are given on instances, but as I said, this method is normally used in section B of the paper. We are given a question and then you're told to locate some points and of course the solution. This is based on the rule of interception. So you draw two graphs, let's say x squared plus 2x plus 1, and then x squared minus 4x plus 3. Then where the two graphs intersect, that's the solution. So that's the graphical method. But I'll deal with factorization method more and just try to explain what actually happens in factorization method. But before going to that, let me handle quickly the quadratic formula method, because it's a simple method. Then perhaps give examples of this area. So let me go straight into this method, but that is quadratic formula method. So in quadratic formula method, it's a very interesting area. So quadratic formula method. So in quadratic formula method, it's simple. When given an equation, any quadratic equation is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. This is an equation. Now differentiate. This is a quadratic equation. There is now so when a difference between an equation and an expression is the equal sign here. When you're given ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, let me just do this. So this is a quadratic expression. There is no equating, but in this other side, this is a quadratic equation because there's an equal sign. So when given any question in that format, what you need to do is simple. So when given any question in that format, the first thing you need to do, so given an equation, so quadratic formula method states that when given an equation in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, then equals to 0, then the first, how do you, because you're supposed to solve for x, so x here will be given by plus or minus, so x will be given by negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac. Then you divide all this by 2a. So I'll give an example. This is the formula, nothing else. So normally the plus or minus that you're seeing here, is meant to give two solutions. So depending on what you're handling, so this is meant to give you two solutions. So let me proceed and say, so let's do an example. So e.g. solve x squared plus 36, plus 12, so not really. So e.g. solve x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 0. So you're supposed to solve for x. So this is simple. So we need to identify the first step is normally to identify what is our a, what is our b. Sorry, let me just write this one. Let me just clear this and see. So the first step, as I said, you need to identify what is your a, what is your b, and what is your c. So your a in this case is 1. So this is your a. Your b is negative 4. Please don't forget to include the sign before the coefficient. Then c is positive 4. So that's positive. Let me just write positive 4. So now from this you input the formula that we wrote before. So what is the formula? Let me try. I'm noticing this color is becoming a little bit fed here. So the first thing that you need to do is to do what? Identify. So you solve. So you write x equals to negative b plus or minus square root of 4a. Okay, not 4a. Sorry. Square root of b squared minus 4ac, then divided by 2a. This should give us negative of negative 4. You notice that's why I insisted on the sign, plus or minus square root of negative 4, that is our b squared, then minus 4 times what is our a, 1 times what is our c, 4. So 1 you don't need to include it. Then all this divide by what? Divide by 2a, that is 2. So we proceed and say so now what is x? So x will be given by negative b. Negative of negative 4 is 4, plus or minus square root of what is negative 4 squared. Negative times the negative is positive, so 16, positive 16 minus 16, yes, then divided this by what? By 2. Therefore, what do we have? We proceed and say, so x will be 4 plus or minus what? What is 16 minus 6 is 0. Square root of 0 is 0. Divided this by 2. And this will be nothing else but 4 divided by a plus or minus nothing, 0 divided by 2, which is what? 2. Because 0, of course, 4 plus 0 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So therefore x is 2. So we've solved the question. Simple as that. Now, so many people will ask, what is it that you're doing? We are done with that. We are done with this question. I'll give another example. This a little bit complex. So let me teach this. So let me try and give another example. So let's do another example. X squared plus x minus 6 equals to 0. So as I said, the first thing you need to identify is your a, b, and c. So a will be 1, b will be 1 as well, then c equals to negative 6. So we have our 3 elements. So the next thing is solving. So x will be given by negative 1 plus or minus square root of b squared, that is 1 squared, minus 4 times a is 1 times c is what? Is negative 6. Then divided this by what? 2 times 1. So then we proceed and say, therefore x will be, let me use this other pen, let me use a red pen. So x will be given by negative 1 plus or minus square root of what? 1. But remember this, this was in bracket because it's 4ac. So 4 times 1, 4 times negative 6 is negative 24, times negative 1 is positive now. So it's 1 squared, which is 1, plus 24. Then divide this through by what? By 2. This is simple, which should give us what? Which should give us so negative 1 plus or minus, what is the square root of this? 1 plus 24 is 25, square root of 25 is 5, divided by 2, which means that our x will be negative 1, the first x, negative 1 plus 5 over 2, and then our second x will be negative 1 minus 5 over 2. This means that our first x will be negative 1 plus 5 is 4 divided by 2, which is 2. Then our second x will be negative 1 minus 5 is negative 6, divided by 2 is negative 3. So therefore we have our x as x1 equals to 2, and then x2 equals to negative 3. And that's how we solve a quadratic equation using quadratic formula method. So for the second part will be complete square method. Complete square method. So in complete square method, the rule is simple. When given an equation in the form of a x squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, therefore what you need to do first of all, so the first step is rearrange to have a x squared plus bx equals to negative c. The steps, these are let me just indicate this. This is these are the steps. Let me just write somewhere here. So steps, so that is the first step. So this we convert it into this becomes, okay, for instance, okay, so that's the first step. The second step is now identify the value of b, then divide it by 2. So this to give us what? B over 2. Then you square it, divide it by 2 and square it. Yes. So this is a simple simplified principle. So b over 2, then you square it. After you've done that, now the third step is to do what? Is to add b over 2 squared on both sides of the equation. And this means that we had a x squared plus bx, remember, equals to c. Actually, it should be negative c. So then you what to do, you add what? You add b over 2 squared, and then on the side also you add b over 2 squared. You get the steps. That's the third step. Then the fourth step is simple. So the fourth step is step number 4. Step number 4 is pick on the left side, on the left hand side, pick what is squared and combine them into one unit. Yeah, how is that? Let's see. So once you have done you have b over 2 squared and you've added it to both sides. So how do we do that? So we had ax squared plus bx now plus b over 2 squared equals to negative c plus b over 2 squared. So this is what has been squared and this is what has been squared. So what is that? This is actually x only, and this is b over 2 only. Mind you, you only pick the what has been squared. A is not squared, it's only x that is squared. Here, this is not squared, this is not squared, but b over 2 is squared. So what you combine here is, you say, so you come and say, we pick x, which is squared, and then it's plus, it's positive, yeah? So plus b over 2, then squared, should be equals to, now on the right hand side, you just solve it, negative c plus b over 2 squared. So now, remember, you have a square here. So how do you drop the square? Because now, remember, we are only looking for x, and we have everything else. There's no x anywhere else. So let's solve that and say, so to solve that, what do we do? So here we take square roots both sides. So that's the fourth step, actually. So the fourth step is take square roots both sides. What do we get if we do that? We get, so it's x plus b over 2 squared equals to negative c plus b over 2 squared. So you take square roots and then you take also square root. So these two cancels with the square root to have x plus b over 2 equals to the square root, and actually it's plus or minus, because anything you square root it, you have to get a plus or a minus. So plus or minus negative c plus b over 2 squared. So therefore, and then now the fifth step is to do what? So step number 5. The fifth step is collect like terms. Not really. So the fifth step then becomes the fifth step therefore becomes you're supposed to let x be the subject. How is that possible? So what you do, so now whatever we have here, so whatever we have here, this one, so for us to remain with x alone, we have to take b to the right hand side. So this means that now x becomes negative b over 2, then plus or minus square root of negative c plus b over 2 squared. Simple. So this is how you get x in complete square method. So if you know this formula, if you can grasp the formula here, then the better for you. But in this case, we'll go step by step. So I'll do an example in the effect so that we get to understand what actually happens. So an example is e.g., assuming we are solving the same, okay, let's solve the same question previously, the one we solved. So x squared plus x minus 6 equals to 0. Let's solve this and see if we understood complete square method. Feel free to pause the video and do the question and see if we'll have the same answers. So let's proceed and say, so the first step, as I said, is we have to remain with only variables on the left hand side and then constants on the right hand side. So this becomes x squared plus x equals to 6. That's the first step. As I told you, this part C goes to the right hand side. Then the next step is what? What is our B? Our B is B is 1. Therefore B over 2 squared equals to B over 2 squared equals to 1 over 2 squared. Yeah. So then what next? We add. So the third step was to add this b over 2 squared on both sides to get so therefore what do we get? So this becomes x squared plus x, then plus 1 over 2 squared equals to 6 plus 1 over 2 squared. And then, as I said, in the left hand side you pick what is squared alone. So this forms a unit. This gives us what? X plus a half, then square that, should be equals to 6 plus 1 over 2 squared. Yes, that's it. Simple. Yeah. So now the next step is what? Taking square roots both sides. Yeah. Can see me pen. Okay. Yeah. Taking square roots both sides, then square roots as well here. So this cancels. Don't make a mistake of cancelling things too with this square root, because these are two different units. So you can't just cancel them. So now the next thing is x plus a half equals to plus or minus, because I told you anytime you take a square root you have to include plus or minus. So square root of 6 plus 1 over 2. Okay, 1 over 2 squared. Yeah. So now let's solve whatever is inside. So 6 plus so a half squared is 0.25. So this should give us, so this should give us So this becomes it is plus or minus, yeah, square root of what? 6 plus 0.25, yeah. So this is 6.25 if you add it, yeah. So this means that we are solving the right hand side first. So this gives us the square root of 6.25. You can use your calculator to solve that. X plus a half equals to 6.25, but remember there's a plus or minus. This gives this plus or minus is very important because it gives us two answers, possible answers. So let's proceed and say, so next, what is the square root of 6.25? Square root of 6.25 in my calculator, that's 2.5. So therefore it means that so x plus a half is the same as 0.5 equals to plus or minus 2.5. So then the first x, so x1 will be given by 2.5 minus 0.5, then and then x2 will be given by 2.5, but is now this time around is negative, then minus 0.5. So let's see what this is. So we say x1 equals to what is 2.5 minus 0.5? That is 2. That's the first x. Then x2 will be given by, what is negative 2.5 minus 0.5? In your calculator that should give you negative 3. Then we have our answer. So remember, so x therefore will be given by 2 or negative 3. These are the same answers. The good thing with quadratic equations is that you will have to get the same answer regardless of what method you use. By the way, even if you decided to use quadratic formula method, you still get the same answer. You decided to use factorization, you get the same answer. You use a calculator, use a graphical method, you will get the same answer. The difference is the method, and please take note of the method. Unless otherwise stated, please use the method that has been recommended. Don't ever try to be to look like a genius and then use the method that you're comfortable with. If it's not stated, yes, you can use what you're comfortable with, but if they have specified using complete square method, you try using factorization, whether the answers are wrong or right, you will be disqualified. The question won't even be marked. So yeah, we proceed. So now the final method that I'll do today is factorization. Now this is interesting. Very, very interesting, and I'll tell you why. So let's do it. Let's see. So this is factorization method. Factorization, depending on where you're English. If you're from UK, this is Z. If it's from America, actually this is from America, and then UK they use an S here, factorization. So we proceed and say, so the rule is simple. You need to be quite fast in thinking, but you need also to know these numbers. At some point, if you do a lot of practice, you'll become a guru in it. You won't even struggle finding the numbers. So ax squared, that is the general formula. When given such an equation, bx plus c equals to 0, then factorization states that you need to find two numbers whose sum is b, and then whose product is a times c. These two numbers. So sometimes they're very easy to find, very easy, very straightforward, but sometimes they're very hard to find. So you need to be fast as sometimes you also need to simplify the equation to get the numbers. Sometimes we just need to find them directly. So you need to be quite conversant with this formula, because this is the most commonly used method of solving a quadratic equation, and it's very interesting. So I'll give we use the same example that actually we used before. Let's use this pen and say, so we say, so given x squared plus x then minus 6 equals to 0. So what is our a? We know by now, we know our a is 1. Let me just include a different font. Our a is 1, our b is 1, and our c is negative 6. So in what it means that this here, we're supposed to find two numbers whose sum is what? 1, then whose product is what? Is negative 6, because it's 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. So in this case, now that I've done these questions so many times, the two numbers are simple. It's 2 and 3, but we need to know what is negative here. It's 2. So 2 is negative 2 and 3. Let's add. Negative 2 plus 3 is what? It's 1. Negative 2 times 3 is what? Negative 6. Yeah, simple. So now these are just numbers. So you come and after you've gotten these two numbers, it's negative 2 and 3, definitely you know there's an x here. So there's an x, this guy is x, there's an x here, there's an x here. Yeah, so you come and replace. So the two numbers that you've gotten them, go replace them with where there's bx. You replace with the two numbers, and please observe the signs. So this this equation becomes x squared, now this time around, minus 2x plus 3x, as I told you, then minus 6. So take note as well that sometimes people forget these, because now after including the two numbers and you get to 0, then that's the beginning of your problems. So this has to be there, equals to 0. Then you group these. Now you have four entries on the left hand side. You group them into 2. And how do you group them? So this is x squared. I think I need to just delete this and rewrite it well. So x squared minus 2x, then the other side plus 3x minus 6. So now what is common between x squared minus 2x? Definitely it's an x. And then if you factor it out, what you remain with is x here and then minus 2. Then something you need to know, and it's a tip, you need to get an x minus 2 on the other side as well, because what is in the bracket has to be equal. So what is common between 3x and 6 is 3. Then what you're left with is x minus 3 times 2. That's when you get a 6. Then this equals to 0. Now let's proceed and say, so the next step is simple. What you need to do is you need to pick whatever is in the bracket, then also on the other side, and then combine it into one unit. Then also pick this and this, whatever is outside the bracket, and then combine it into one unit. So the first, if we take the unit in the bracket is x minus 2, then multiplied by it's x, then plus 3. So x plus 3 equals to 0. Then you have factored them. That's why it's called factorization. You're trying to get the factors, so you've factored them. So we proceed and say, now the next step is to equate each factor with 0 to get the value of x. So x1 will be given by x minus 2 equals to 0. Yeah, x minus 2 equals to 0, which implies that x will be equals to 0 plus, you see this is negative when it comes here to this other side, plus 2, which is comes to what? 2. There's the first x. The other x will be the other x, that is x2, will be given by x plus 3 equals to 0. You check this positive 3 to the other side, then this should give you a what? Minus 3. So therefore x equals to negative 3. Remember now, if you're keen and if you're observing, we got negative 3 as our x and what? 2, which is the same thing that we got in our previous method. Yeah, it's here. We got the same thing. It's 2 and negative 3. Yeah, so regardless of the method, you will still end up having the same answers. Let's see if we got, and that's what we also got in this other side. Yeah, in the using the other first method, that's what we also got. So that's simple. That's it. It's very simple. In my next video, this is it. So we have this, then we have that. So in my next video, I'll handle more examples of factorization just to cement what we've actually done, and then perhaps I'll also do several examples on where quadratic equations have been applied in trigonometry, in logarithms, then to show you how these things work. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share for more content.